2, 1.
Another day, another FPL pod. Jack, how's it going?
Josh, great to see you. Yeah, going really well. Enjoying the FPL festivities, enjoying the weather. Makes FPL even more fun. Watching games in the sun. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good, just soaking it all in. Birthday last weekend. Got to see you. Thank you for the birthday celebrations.
Happy birthday to you again.
Cheers, belated birthday. Still rocking it. Yeah, just loving life. Yeah, all good, ticking along.
Good
Ready
stuff.
to talk FPL.
For sure. What we were born to do. So we're midweek, game week 34, aren't we? At the moment, which, as listeners to last week's pod will know, was a little mini double, little baby double. We've still got Man U and Chelsea to play that one double game week game. We're recording on the Tuesday. The game is on the Thursday. But, it's one game left to go. We've got a feel for how well we've done this week already, really, Josh, haven't we? So how many points are you sitting on ahead of that game, and how many players you got left to play?
I'm on 49 points. That's after taking a -4. And
Cool.
Only 2 players left to play in David De Gea and Mason Mount. So, yeah, Money Mount, need him to kind of do something for me there. Didn't cap Mount. A lot of people were going down that route. I went with Salah, despite the derby. And Salah came back with the assist so far. That's looking like a good move, but I would like Mount actually to prove me wrong and say that's a bad move, because I need those additional points right now. So, but yeah, outside of that, Saka with the 13 points, Trent, with the clean sheet, with the yellow cards, who's on 5 points. Roberts, love your Roberts with the 6 points. Kraft
Superstar.
with the 6 points. So a lot of, just heroes I did not expect to see this week, Jack.
Always nice.
Apart from that, not too displeased. What about yourself?
Yeah. Well, very similar to you, Josh. Yeah. I had a similar story with the kind of unexpected heroes, really. So I'm on 53 like you, but I didn't take the -4, so 53 net. And with Mendy and Havertz to play, so 2 players like you, 2 different players, but I did captain Havertz. I'm not feeling too positive, really. Chelsea haven't actually been that great the last few. And I think I was kind of blinded to that with this game week. But the one shining light is they've got Man United, who've been even worse. So I'm hoping Chelsea can put them to the sword. Bit nervous about Havertz's minutes. I mean, he got taken off on 75. So I'm hoping that means he's going to get another start. But I went with Havertz over Mount in the end. Went with the stats as we discussed last week, but neither of them did anything, did they really? So cheers, boys. Mendy in goal, clean sheet, thanks a lot. Tarkowski and Roberts, like you said, the Burnley boys coming up trumps for us. Saka, like you, doing well. And not a lot else, really. Spurs continue to be disappointing. Kulusevski and Kane blanking again. So we'll discuss what we think of Spurs, I guess, won't we, going into the wildcard chat in a minute. But not... it's a kind of middling week, really. I'm on a tiny green arrow at the minute, like up 10k places. So that's basically treading water. So hopefully Chelsea can help me out. But there we are.
It is. I think we're both in the same situation. Spoiler, before we move on to the strategy, like we are both looking to wildcard now. So it's a kind of, you draw a line under this team, and you're replacing a lot of these players that you're frustrated with. So yeah, you're not carrying any dead weight out of this game week, is it? You're just like, see you later. They're gone.
That's it.
Fresh start.
That's exactly it. And that's the big theme of this episode, Josh, isn't it? It's wildcard season, and you and I have prepped a little wildcard each. And we haven't seen, we've seen each other's about 10 minutes before this pod started. Very exciting gimmick this week. So what we're going to do, we're going to compare the wildcard teams we've picked. And of course, we'll discuss players that we've both left out that maybe we should reconsider. As these wildcard picks will, of course, be in light of, through the lens of, the upcoming double game weeks, which we can discuss. So that's how we're getting on. Should we crack on to the wildcard bit, Josh?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's jump on in. So
Cool.
the only other thing that we haven't prep track is who gets to go first. I mean,
Difficult. Yours is first. Well, maybe. How we should do it maybe
combine?
is, I reckon you read yours out point blank. I'll read mine out, and then we'll just touch on the players we've both picked, if there are any. So similarities, and just go through each of those and discuss why we think they're a good pick. And then we'll get into the interesting meat of it, which is the players that we have only picked ourselves and disagree on. And because the feedback we've had of this pod is we're too agreeable, Josh. So we need to argue more. We need to be at each other's throats more. So hopefully, hopefully that's what I like it.
Yeah. Good.
Hopefully that gives us that galvanizes us into giving the listener some spice to listen to. So you go ahead, read yours out, and then I'll do mine, and then we'll do the comparing.
Lovely. Spice is nice. Okay. Yeah. Straight off the bat, Foster and Martinez I've got in goal.
Ooh, terrible.
The double. And just to say, I do have bench boost. So a lot of people got different chips available. This is looking to play everyone, everyone bringing in points for the 36 game week, that is. So those two in goal. And then across for the defenders, we've got Alonso, Trent, keeping Trent, Cancelo, Cash, and Roberts and Burnley, that is. And then midfield, I've gone with Ramsey, the Villa, Mount, Coutinho, the double Villa midfield, Salah, and I'm starting with Kulu for game week 35. We're going to get him out for Gordon in game week 36, which will be the bench boost in game week. And then the front line is looking like Werner, Dennis, blasting the past Dennis, and the Veg horse.
Weggy. Nice.
And
cool.
That is me, Jack.
Nice. Right. I'll quick fire mine over, and then we'll talk about the players we've both picked that we agree on. Cool. So, like you, I'll be bench boosting in 36, which is the reason we're wildcarding ahead of 35, because you can't play two chips at once. So this team will be the team we play in 35, but then bench boosting 36. So all the players will be playing, like you say, Josh. So in goal, Schmeichel and Mendy. So I've gone a bit heavier than you in goal. Across the back, we've got Alonso, Cancelo, Robertson, Matty Cash, and Tyrone Mings, double Villa. Love it. And then the five in midfield are Saka, Ramsey at Villa, Havertz, Salah, and Gordon, the guy you're going to bring in. So we both agree on him. And then a completely different front line to you. I've gone for Pukki and Keita and Kane. So there we go. So there's quite a lot of differences, Josh, which is thank God, because it would have been a pretty dull pod. But let's get the dull bit over with. The players we agree on. So should we go through them just as they are now? So we've both gone for Marcus Alonso at Chelsea. How come you went for old Marcus? Sorry, go on. Yeah.
We can alternate. So I'll give my bit, you back and forth, and then for the next one we agree on, you start.
Cool.
So for Alonso, I think, he's pretty nailed. He's had consistent minutes recently, which is he hasn't had all season. So that kind of puts him forward straight away. And in terms of threat, he has been involved. He's kind of showed a glimpse of Alonso of old, not to that complete level, but XG and XA is decent. So I think he's just a great little shout getting into that back line. And with Reece James and the positional issues we've been hearing about recently, for me, it's you have more confidence in Alonso getting further up the pitch. With Reece James, he could be put into that centre back role, and then it's just like, why the hell have I got this guy on my team? So yeah, wanted a Chelsea defender. He was the best of the pick for me.
I'd agree. That's why I picked him as well. So I just think there's always going to be a rotation risk with probably any Chelsea player. But Marcus Alonso, if he does start and he's amongst the defenders, he's about most likely to start, I think, even if that's 80%, say. He's just a striker, isn't he, when he plays? He's ridiculous. And across two fixtures for Chelsea, I'm just confident that that he'll start. Even if he's got the double. So even if he starts 3 of the 4 across 36 and 37, I'll be happy, I think. So we're both in. I think Alonso is the best Chelsea defender to go for. The next one we got is Cancelo. So Man City don't have, we know it's a weird one. We know they're going to have a double in 36 or 37. So he's the only player I've got that doesn't double in 36 for me at the moment, confirmed. We still don't know when that is, I don't think, do we? There was some chat about it today, but
I haven't heard any confirmation there. So
no, me
we'll wait and
neither.
see.
No, but again, similar to Alonso, really, he's the one locked in for City at the back, and he loves a shot. So he never scores, but he loves a shot. That's how I'd sum Cancelo up. But Man City probably the most likely to get clean sheets, so he's a lock for me. What do you reckon?
Exactly as you said, City as a team, XGA brilliant, and Cancelo, dare I say it, has had the highest minutes of probably any player outside of Edison through this season and especially because of the injuries they've got with Walker. He was flitting between left and right back, isn't he? But he is kind of nailed in that team now. They don't really have anyone else with that starting lineup quality that they want at left and right back. So he's consistently getting there. So and on top of that, he is just class. So yeah, great pick.
No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. So Alonso and Cancelo, pretty non-controversial, those picks. I think a lot of people are going to have them. Next one, I'm surprised we've both gone for this guy, or maybe I shouldn't be, but Matty Cash, Josh. My boy Matty's in there. How come?
That's back to me, yeah. So I think the double Villa. So of course you're going to look at them, and then next to that, Villa actually defensively haven't been too bad according to the XGA stats recently. So not as threatening going forward. I don't know if that's something purposeful from Stevie and the coaching staff there to kind of consolidate, because their performance has been a bit up and down. But just off the back of the stats, you're looking at maybe taking an asset from them because they are one of the better doublers in terms of the team's defensive assets. And Cash, I think, is we're better off listening to you in this regard. But I think Cash is probably the most best attacking threat out of the defenders for Villa.
He is, and that's why I picked him as well. If Luca Digne was still fit, which he's not, he's ruled out for the season, then I'd go for him. And we've got Ashley Young playing there at the moment, which is a bit of a nightmare. We should not have got rid of Matt Target. But Villa. I mean, he's not amazing, Cash. I don't think. Like he's picked up a little bit lately, but he's serviceable and he's solid. And like you said, I think Villa fixture wise, because they've got Norwich in 35, and then have got the double. I think you're right to load up on them, and I think Cash is probably the best defensive option that you can get in terms of attacking output. So yeah, not much more to say on him. He's quite good value, I think, as well, financially. So yeah, I think he's a solid bet as much as anyone else really in the Dublin games. So that's Matty Cash. Speaking of, we're staying with Villa with our other same pick. So Jacob Ramsey, we've both gone for him. It's a purely price thing for me with Ramsey. He's so cheap, 4.7, I think, or 4.8. He's an absolute bargain. You're into that Villa team that are double in. He gets a goal now and then. He's not as hyped he's not as good as some Villa fans are hyping him up as, in my opinion. Like people are saying he's the next Grealish and things. He's actually just signed a new contract today. But so I don't think he's that good, but at the price he's a great enabler for a bench boosting team. Why have you picked Ramsey?
Exactly what you just said, really. To boil it down,
agreeableness.
He's a double-doubler enabler.
Yeah,
that's it. So, and there aren't too many, decent-looking assets for those double-doubling teams that you really want. And Villa, as you said, with the Norwich beforehand, it's just it's a no-brainer really to chuck him in.
For sure. Salah, we've both gone for Salah. Do we need to explain why? I'm not sure we do. What I would say is we will talk about players that neither of us have picked after this, and that will include some of those other Liverpool attackers, because I think that would be the only thing that would make me doubt picking Salah. But he just speaks for himself, doesn't he, with his returns, and he's just another level of player, really.
Yeah. I mean, minutes, underlying stats, and returns. It's the triple threat which he's been producing all season long. I know he hit a dry spell, but he still is better than all of the other players you're going to compare him to. Per minutes, actually, Diaz is pretty close to him in terms of returns, but his minutes are much less overall. So, I mean, yeah, he's the best.
Do we think Klopp will keep playing him in the Prem, even with the other fighting on the other fronts?
It's impossible to tell. Obviously, there is more rotation now, but all of the backup are in central and left side areas. There's out of all the players he's rotating with, none of them naturally play on the right hand side. So there isn't like
interesting.
Jota, Diaz, and Mane can all play on the left side of attack, and then Jota and Mane can play through the middle. Bobby's injured at the moment. None of them naturally play off that right hand side, so they'll have to kind of square peg round hole. That, and historically, Salah has always been the one to play most minutes because he's just a machine in terms of stamina, and I think he is just recognised as the main man. So
Salah's man
get taken off.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, I think don't get fancy. Stick with Salah is a good rule of thumb. Yeah. And then finally, Josh, our final similar pick, or identical pick, I should say, is young Gordon of Everton. How come you went for him?
He's a threat. He's their biggest threat. They're a double-doubler. Again, they've been up and down. They haven't been great, really. I say up and down, mainly down. But he is one of the kind of shining lights. Him and Richarlison, I'd say. I'm not a fan of Richarlison as a person, but as a player, he's great, I think. And he has returned recently. So, but I think Gordon's underlying stats are pretty good. He's going to get minutes. I'm just brought up his stats now. So, like in the last 5 games, 0.36 XG, which isn't great. Scored 1 goal, but 1.36, XA. He is one of the biggest threats in that team.
Yeah, he is. He's the only Everton player that looked like he was capable of doing anything against Liverpool, I thought, despite a bit of diving here and there. He's just so cheap, isn't he? He's ridiculous. Again, like Ramsey, he's kind of like the Ramsey pick, double-doubler, mega cheap enabler. He's going to play. Get him in your team, I think, and he's an attacking player. So yeah, I think he's a really good one to pick. So those are our 6 similar players, Josh. Let's get a bit more interested now and compare the players that we haven't both of us gone with. What am I talking about? We haven't both picked. Starting with goalies. So you've gone for Foster and Martinez, whereas I've gone for Schmeichel and Mendy. So I've gone the cash route. You've gone the cheaper route. Well, Martinez is kind of mid-range, isn't he? How come you went for these two?
I mean, first and foremost, I did consider both Mendy and Schmeichel. Mendy was in my draft first to begin with, but of the Chelsea assets, I wanted the 3 that I have more than him. So I've got Werner, Mount, and Alonso. Which for me, and I had him on the team, and I looked at it, I was like, out of those 4, who do I want out? Mendy. So I got rid of him.
Interesting.
Martinez, because of the double-double, and for the same reasons that we picked cash, stats have shown that Villa are looking a bit better defensively, consolidating a little bit more, and the fixtures are great, especially in 35 as well. The second one, Foster over Schmeichel. I had Schmeichel in initially, but Leicester's XGA stats are shocking. They're just not great defensively. He is that like 0.8, 0.9 more expensive. And I didn't like the look of being stuck with him after the kind of...
So you want the cheapo after to just bench fodder in Foster?
Just to give me a little bit of maneuverability. I know that's only kind of 1 or 2 game weeks. Maybe the second, because Foster doesn't have the double-double. But because I'm bench boosted in 36, that's when I need both keepers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need both keepers for 37, so I'll just go with Martinez there.
Yeah.
And then I'll have both of them kind of, because they're both playing keepers, to deal with in 38 and pick between them. But that was my thinking there.
Have you got any? I should have asked this at the start. Have you got any money in the bank with this team, or is this all your budget used up?
This is exactly on the button.
Is it?
Because of of the prices of the players that I already own, for example.
Right.
It
Have
happened just to
you
fit.
pulled the trigger and done this already in your team?
I haven't yet. No. I
No.
wanted to wait past tonight's fixture. And you know me, Jack. I'm a play it safe kind of guy. I don't like doing anything too early.
But are you not worried that one price change will put this out of budget then?
I'm petrified. Yeah.
Brilliant. No, that's fair. That's fair. I think I'm 0.4 in the bank with mine, so not a lot of leeway. You know, it's a good. You get one of your players drops, another one goes up. You're on the knife edge again, aren't you? Yeah. But interesting. Yeah, I mean Martinez, I can't deny he's a decent pick actually, and I might have to have a look at him. Although I have got 3 Villa players, I've gone for the 2 Villa defenders over the goalie. So I think that is a decent pick. But Foster, I just think Watford are fucked. Like, I just think they're terrible. I wouldn't have any hope of him returning anything close to a clean sheet. But maybe that could be said for Schmeichel, even though Leicester did just get 1 clean sheet against Villa. But I just, Foster just, Watford look poor, man, I think. Don't know.
Yeah, they're not great. I'm not particularly happy with it. And actually, as we're speaking, I've just realised I've got 4 Villa players on my team.
Have you now?
I think the reason behind that is we'll get to the midfield. The reason behind that is
have you?
I've
Ramsey, Coutinho, Cash, and Martinez. Joshy boy.
The reason behind that is Coutinho was actually he's in there because Saka's potential injury. So I'd have Saka over.
We're going to talk about that. Yeah.
So we'll get to that with the midfield.
Interesting.
That shows I'll need to reshuffle.
I should have spotted that. Josh. Yeah.
I should have spotted myself.
Yeah, dear.
So yeah, but your keepers make complete sense. Mendy and Schmeichel.
Well, they do, but they are expensive though, is the only thing. I mean, I probably went with Mendy just because I've already got him, which doesn't make any sense. But and I guess just an aside, I checked just now, I've actually got 8 of these players in my team already. So it feels like a weird wild card to just like
Mr. Confident.
You know what I mean? But it feels like a waste of not a waste, but like I kind of wish I didn't have as many already. So the wild card felt more important, but it is what it is. But yeah, I'm not fully sold on Schmeichel yet. Mendy, I do quite like because you just know he will play in that Chelsea team. Although last year he did randomly get rotated with his fucking thingy with Kepa now and then. But I've got faith that he'll keep playing really for them because I think they'll want to just keep him ticking over for that FA Cup final.
I find it mad that he's actually more expensive than Alisson, isn't he? At the moment?
Yeah, is he 6.1, Mendy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
probably
that's
because
wild,
of this
actually.
double and stuff. That
maybe I'll go with it. Is he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, 0.1, only by 0.1. But
yeah, I mean,
0.4 to play with.
Liverpool. I mean, for both of them, Liverpool and Chelsea, I don't fully trust that they'll not concede. You know what I mean? Especially Chelsea. I mean, Alisson is amazing at sweeping and one-on-one shots, but Liverpool do concede quite a few of those. I think Carragher last night did a thing on who's going to win it out of City and Liverpool, and comparing the XGC of Liverpool to City. Like Liverpool's is way, way higher than City's because of that high line, he reckons. So yeah, but then Chelsea have been shipping goals for fun as well. So yeah, goal is definitely the most subject to change position, I think.
Yeah, it's a tough call. There
are a few good options. Yeah. Moving into defence, Josh, so we can compare these 2 picks. So you've gone for Trent and I've gone for Robertson. So what's going on here? Convince me to pick Trent.
I mean, yeah, you're right. My worry is he won't play both because
Robertson.
Trent, this is
Trent.
Because I've gone with Trent, but I'm a little bit concerned about his minutes because in the past, he has needed to be rested from time to time, especially with like heavy congested fixture periods because he just get knackered. But if he does play, I think his underlying stats and just the way he's been this season, he is clear of Robertson. Robertson scored the goal, but if you look at the underlying stats he's had from the last 5 game weeks or even and then the whole season as well, it's just Trent is just involved in so much more and creates so much more. I've already got him as well, so the price thing of what he's worth now versus what I've got him for is a consideration. It brings it then a
Yeah,
little bit
that's
more
true.
comparable.
Actually, I haven't got him, so I didn't have to worry about that sale price issue.
But
I'm
yeah,
just going to compare the
I
two
don't think
now.
Robertson is a bad pick by any means. I guess the one thing about him is it's not so much a fitness thing, but actually, the cover at left back is great. Tsimikas has been
Yeah,
great this year. But you just can't call it. You don't know what they're going to do. Every game is massive at the moment, so you don't know if Klopp's just going to stick with the first team and not really change it that much.
yeah. I mean, it's comparing the two. I'm just on Understat now, comparing the two of them since the 1st of April. So yeah, Trent, it's an XA XG thing. So Robertson's got 0.4 XG to Trent's 0.01, but then Trent's got 1.1 XA, which is probably the highest of any player over that time, to Robbo's 0.22. So yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, I've gone with Robertson as the differential factor, because I want to be chasing him on many leagues, and I think fewer people have him. And I think it's something crazy, like he's returned in his last 10 games or something. Like he's got a return in them. So I think he's hit a bit of form. But yeah, I think either of them could rotate. I mean, looking at Trent's history, so he's been benched for, it was actually the easier game. So Norwich and Watford in the last 10, he didn't play in. And I can't find Robertson because no one's got him, so I can't click on him. But yeah, so I think Klopp, while he's fighting on all these fronts, I think he'll want to play his best guys on the whole.
Unless they pick up Knox, which you can legislate for.
Yeah, exactly. You can't legislate for it. Yeah, and I think Robertson's a bit cheaper, isn't he, than Trent? So again, that had some weight there. But moving on, Josh, this was my big question I had for you. Why have you kept these Burnley players, Robertson, Weghorst?
Well, Weghorst is because actually, Burnley have started showing something going forward. And I don't know if that's because of, what they've, with the change of management or whatever, but Weghorst has actually been half decent recently in terms of his returns. And I annoyingly benched him this week when he got an assist, I think it was. But I just think their price point and the fact that they've got the doubles, and they still got half decent fixtures. So Watford, Villa, Spurs isn't great, and then they've got it was a Villa again, then Newcastle.
Yeah,
so,
I think they're going to make it, aren't they? It looks like they're on the trajectory to survive, which it's bad for Everton. But
I mean, for my FPL team, Jack, I really hope they do. So, but
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I only asked really because they don't double in 36. They obviously do in 37. So is that what you're thinking? You're thinking of the two games ahead.
Yeah, and that's because I guess I don't want to be taking too many hits. I don't. Yeah, hits between now and past 37. So, although we're doing the bench boost in 36, I still want who's going to be better across the two. And when I looked at the other options for the doubles, so when you're not looking at players that are only one of the doubles, I do want to replace him really with a doubler, because of his price, etc. Like, who do I want from? I've already got cash. Maybe I could buy into. Well, I can't buy in because of the other Villa players I've picked. So do I want a Leicester defender? Probably not. Do I want an Everton defender? Definitely not.
You've already got 4 Villa players. Yeah, you can't have a 5th Villa player.
Exactly. Maybe I'll just write to FBL Towers. Excuse me.
Just get away with
10 Villa players.
But I guess another question then is, you've obviously got your transfer to Gordon for 36. You'll have one transfer after that going into 37. Are you thinking then of getting rid of one of Weg or... Oh, no, because you'll need them for that double, won't you? So what would you do that week transfer-wise? Would you just roll, or would you change a singular to a doubler from one of the others?
The idea is singular to a doubler, but if I'm honest, there's so much going on right now. I haven't thought about that one for sure.
Yeah, fair.
Building up to the 36 because of the bench boost, and that is huge. And I wanted Gordon in this draft, but then looking at their fixture for this week, I was like, Chelsea, nah, no, thank you. I don't want Gordon for this week. Although maybe he'll probably bang now when he after that. But I thought, okay, I'll take Kulu for this week and then can switch him across.
Yeah.
So that was my thinking for that. He was a player that I wanted, but didn't want him in 35. Could just bench him, of course. That is another option if someone else jumps up in the meantime, something else comes to mind, or if there's any injuries between now and the deadline.
Yeah, transfer wise, what I'm thinking is I'll wildcard now to get the team I definitely want to bench boost in 36, sort of regardless of 35. And then ideally roll a transfer in 36 and then have 2 to play with for the 37, and then transfer out 2 singlers for 2 doublers again in 37, maybe like a Palace player. And then a -4, you can almost make 3 transfers for the -4. That always feels a bit better than just taking the normal hit for 2 transfers. So that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, I don't know, Matt. I just think 2 Burnleys. I don't know why. I think it's more that when I hit 36, I just love having, like when I play my bench boost, I love having everyone on the bench doubling. Whereas at the moment, your team would have Roberts and Wakehorse both singlers in that week, which I wouldn't want. But I understand what you're saying about Burnley being on the up and fighting for their lives and stuff. And Roberts is, God bless him, he saved us the last 2 weeks, hasn't he? So
yeah, maybe it's a slightly romantic thing because of those points he's given us recently.
Romantic Burnley. No more romantic team than Burnley.
Burnley. But I think a big part of it is you look at alternatives at similar price points. I've kept trying to tell myself, don't get dragged in too much by the 36 in isolation. And that's where that kind of Foster over Schmeichel decision came in, etc. So trying to go all in, but not all the way in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, halfway in. Good.
Halfway in. So not all in at all.
Yeah. Well, no, you're nearly all in. Yeah. But okay, cool. So defense done. So we've probably got a couple of good midfielders that we haven't agreed on that we can compare, actually. So again, same as this week, I've gone for Havertz, you've gone for Mount. So you've stuck with Mount effectively, and I've stuck with Havertz. Was that much? If you're like me, you just kind of left him there, which I did. I didn't really think too much about Mount, bringing Mount in. Did you do that with Mount, or did you weigh up Havertz and Mount?
Price was a consideration for me because of having to use transfers and couldn't really shift things around. But actually, price aside, I think Mount edged it in my head. We talked about the underlying stats for Havertz, but looking at the underlying stats now, ahead of exactly what we've got to hand, I know they've got one game week, but Mount's had more minutes. In the last 4, Mount's had 341 minutes. Havertz has had 245.
That is a lot more.
In terms of actual returns, Mount's got 2 goals, 2 assists. Havertz got 1 goal. And then in terms of the stats as well, they're quite close. So Havertz 1.44 xG, Mount 1.27, and then XA, Havertz is 0.4 and Mount is 0.7. So
that feels a lot worse than it was last week for Havertz, doesn't it? Mount's done well there.
He's I'd call it coming into form or whatever, but
maybe you're right.
For me, he's edging him at the moment. I mean, there is an argument to say that having both of them would be a good shout, because those stats, when you're not just comparing them, when you're comparing them to everyone else, they're great. Those stats are great.
Well, spoiler, Josh. Excuse me. I actually, as a bonus aside to this that we'll look at afterwards, I put together an XG-based wildcard for all doubling players. And they are both in it, which is interesting.
Tidy. So
they're both in there. So yeah, I think you're right. They are both good picks. But you might have convinced me on Mount there with the kind of shift of the tide with Mount. I'll judge it after that United game on Thursday and see what happens with that. Because disappointing in that 1-0 when Pulisic got the winner. Very disappointing. Both of them, really. Yes. So those are the Chelsea midfielders. And then your fourth Villa player, Coutinho, and I've gone with Saka, who is yellow flagged. Tell me about the injury, because I haven't actually read anything about it.
Nor have I. That's why I had him in, and then I was like, he's flagged. What the hell's going on here? And so, as far as I'm aware, I didn't hear anything about it. Was it during the game? Did he get taken off? So, a bit blind to that, and that's why I would definitely need to hold fire and figure out what's going on before, right up to the deadline for picking him. In terms of Arsenal assets, I think he's clear. He's clear of everyone.
Saka.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, because
really annoying.
You haven't got any others, have you?
No, I don't really like the look of anyone else. I did consider Odegaard.
Yeah, I like Odegaard as a player, but less as an SPL asset, probably.
I think, and I'm gonna be proven wrong by someone here, probably, but I feel like he goes missing a bit in difficult games.
Maybe.
Kind of a bit of a fair weather player. And I know Saka has blanked in a lot of games, but I just feel like he's a bit of more of a consistent threat. That said, like games where he's blanked,
I
he's
agree.
still been good.
Saka's the best Arsenal asset, no doubt about it. So, so if he is declared fit, you'd go Saka then.
Go Saka, and because I've got that 4 Villa issue, I may just have to go to Odegaard instead of Coutinho, for example.
Well, there might be some others that we can look at that we haven't picked, because there are quite a few interesting ones that we haven't picked around that price point as well, I would say. We'll find someone for you, Josh. We'll find someone.
Cheers,
we'll find someone for you. Yeah, I've stuck Saka in for that reason. That he's even on penalties now, which has come out of nowhere a bit, and he's killing it. So yeah, let's hope he is fit. But yeah, that's definitely one to keep an eye on with the conferences. Yes, and then we've gone for 3 different strikers, Josh, just to round it off. So you've gone for Werner, Dennis, and Weg, and I've got Pookie and Keita and Kane. So I've probably gone I've gone much heavier price-wise in here. I guess I'll challenge you on Dennis again. There's the other Watford player in your team. He has been getting some returns, Dennis, hasn't he? Despite Watford's shittiness. Is that why you've stuck with him?
Yeah, I mean, price right at the forefront of the argument. And then really, the other thing is fixtures. Looking at their fixtures, they are nice. So off the bat.
Are they nice for Watford, though?
Yeah, don't consider it's Watford for a second, but if I was to try and sell you Burnley, Palace, Everton, Leicester.
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's not terrible. And
they have to win them. Watford. They have to win, don't they, as well?
Something to fight for. I mean, I guess the thing is there's not. He's got a golden assist in the last 4, but his underlying stats aren't great. He's kind of been a bit of an overperformer this year. Earlier in the year when he was amazing.
Oh, we all remember him and King, don't we? Like the underlying stats were all King, and then Dennis just kept scoring every week off like 0.01 XG. It was wild.
He was out of the bag.
It was wild.
He's a performer. So that's why he's there. And I was, when looking at Watford, because of the fact that they've got those fixtures and their assets are cheap in general, like Sissoko jumps out as well. I saw
you write him, in the notable list. Oh, really, Sissoko?
Yeah.
What is it with Watford? What has Watford done to you this week? You're loving it.
It's more those fixtures. It's more those fixtures. I was looking for enablers.
Sissoko, though.
Looking for enablers. I know it's mental. But if you look at his stats, it's what?
Is he doing it?
0.75 XG.
That's decent.
0.58 XA.
That's decent. Over how many?
4.
What? That's crazy.
I know. He's gone beast mode.
What is he
doing? Actually doing anything.
Whilst doing nothing. Yeah, he's probably got into the position and then just completely fluffed it like he always does.
Massively.
But I will never bring Sissoko into my team ever. I'll tell you
that's fair. That's fair.
I'll tell you that for free. But Dennis, I get it with Dennis. He's been in my team a lot, and he's got something about him. Dennis has needs some skill and some finishing that he pulls it out of the bag. Often when they're 3-0 down, he'll just get a random shitty Dennis goal, won't he? That'll mean nothing to Watford, but for FPL managers, we love him.
And I'd love that. I'd love it if he did that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we've touched on Weghorst, I think, with the Burnley chat. We'll finish off yours, and then you can. I feel like I've challenged you a lot on yours here, and you've been too kind to me. But Timo Werner, Josh, XG is through the roof. Am I right on him?
It's insane in the membrane. So, you know, over the last 3 goals, we all know about his goals, but his XG is 2.82.
Right.
So it's huge. I mean, that coincides with the 3 goals, but I think, you know, he's obviously getting in the positions, he's getting the chances. He is leading that pronged attack now from Chelsea, and he's up there with kind of Mount with the minutes as well, like 325 minutes in the last 4. So, and with an XA of 0.23, so it's not like rock bottom, but it's not great. But he somehow shouldered barged himself into that lineup, and he's actually doing well. So, yeah, I mean, we've been saying all year long that we're a bit light in terms of attacking options. I was begrudged to pick Kane, who's not, you know, not coming back with these doubles in 37, and the 36 double was Liverpool Arsenal. And I know Arsenal is probably the better one from that, but it's a derby, and you know, if the Liverpool Everton game shows anything, derbies are normally close affairs, aren't they? So yeah, and they haven't been great recently. So
they haven't. No, the Kane thing is, again, he stayed in my team. I've got him already, and he got him currently, and he sort of stayed in there. Werner, though, yeah, I'm tempted. I've obviously got Havertz, Alonso, and Mendy, and you had that, and then ditched Mendy, which isn't a bad shout at all. Yeah, Werner, though, I know the stats are good, but it's Werner. He just looks shit. Like, he just looks like he's panicking at all times to me, Werner. And he hasn't, even though his underlines are good, he hasn't. The last few he hasn't banged, has he? Or am I wrong? Well, he obviously did nothing like all of them did nothing the other day. But if I just look for Timo, apply. Yeah, I mean, oh no. Yeah, it's those 3 goals, isn't it? That came in one game, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, no assists. But yeah, I think it's a good one. Like you say, considering the strikers are there. And how much? He's a weird price, isn't he? Is he like 9 mil?
Just under, I think he's 8.5, something like that.
Yeah, tricky.
So it's kind of comparable to the Jesuses of the world. But yeah, it's, don't get me wrong, I'm not in love with it, but I think looking at the fact that he's a double-doubler.
Yeah, the Chelsea double-doubles.
Sorry, the fact they're not the double-doublers, but they've got
Are they not?
good fixtures.
They are a double-double. They are a double-double. They're double 36 and 37. I'm looking at that Venn diagram you put on TikTok. That was good. So Chelsea double-double. Chelsea, Everton, Leicester, and Villa.
Is the 37 double confirmed, or is there still waiting on the scheduling?
Oh, is it? I thought it was confirmed. Are they not showing on the FPL site? I'm just going purely on Venn diagram info, so maybe that's wrong.
Outside of the Venn diagram, at the moment, they've only got Leicester that game week.
So 36. Yeah, why are they in the Venn? Why are they in the Venn, Josh?
Probably the FA Cup final.
But that's not till like May 14th, is it? That is game week 37, isn't it?
Yeah, that's game week 37.
Does that mean they definitely won't have a game then? Because they're in that final.
You're going beyond my scheduling knowledge, but all I'm going off at the moment is from the FBL website. What's been updated since that then came out, obviously, is they got through to the final.
Yeah, they're on the Thursday, and that Saturday is the FA Cup final day, which is the. So there are no games on the Saturday, are they? So Sunday the 15th, because the Saturday is the FA Cup.
Yeah, and their fixture actually is in the Thursday, like the 19th, even though it's in that game week. So, yeah, that's why.
And they play on the 11th in Leeds on. Yeah, they probably don't have a double-double, do they then? That's
be
huge.
confirmed.
I mean, that's
Still waiting.
huge for me then. Ignore everything you've heard for the last half hour, people. No, I don't know. That is quite big, though. That does put me off Chelsea a bit if they don't have one.
Well, definitely a Chelsea triple up, but you'd want at least a double.
Maybe. I don't
The
know.
other thing is the fixtures are the reason why I still went for the triple Chelsea is because their fixtures are great.
Sure.
You know, they've Everton, Wolves, Leeds, Leicester, and then in 38 Watford.
Yes, I mean, that is tasty, isn't it? That is very good. Yeah, maybe I'll leave them in there. But that is interesting. I thought I was on for quite a few double-doublers there. So I may have to
revise.
So who are the double-doublers then? Is it just Everton, Villa, and Leicester?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Villa.
Oh, and
Everton,
Burnley. And
Leicester.
Burnley. Oh no, they're not double-doublers. They're just doubling that week, aren't they? Palace, Burnley.
Yeah. So there was only 4 original double-doublers, but then Chelsea's dropped out of that because of the FA Cup final.
My good God.
It changes too quickly.
Good Lord, Josh. This is flown me. Right.
Oh Lordy.
Anyway, let's stay focused. So my other strikers, Josh, and they're definitely pull apartable. Pookie and Keita. So Pookie. I think Pookie is going to get goals here, despite Norwich doing rubbish.
You bloody love Pookie.
I do. I think he's a great finisher. And he seems to always get these one-on-ones. When I just watch the 2-minute highlights on YouTube, he seems to have. They seem to be feeding him all right, and he's put a couple of them away. Like he scored more than Chris Wood, over the last 5 game weeks, and he's been a really popular pick, Wood. So I just think he's quite good in a world of hardly any strikers. Yeah. What do you think of Pookie?
Yeah, I think he's good. I don't know. I've just got this thing against Pookie. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's from times past when he just let us down after that flash in the pan.
He did.
But you are right. At the moment, in the last 4 games, he's got incredible stats, both in XG and XA. And you're right. I should maybe be looking at him versus Dennis, because those two are, I think, ones that could go head to head and be compared directly. And I hate to be agreeable, Jack, but I think you're right. I think Pookie is probably the better pick, and maybe
You do love
Dennis
Watford, Josh.
menace.
You do love Watford. For some reason, you love them. So maybe, yeah. I think Pookie's the one. Keita is the tricky one for me, because it's a very recent thing he's come into the team. But I do think Lacazette's going to get some minutes at some point. So then you've got to think, is that going to come in this double? So maybe Keita's not so good. Don't know.
Yeah, I mean, his minutes, as you said, minutes are the big thing for him. If he's on the pitch, then decent shout. But is he going to be on the pitch?
What's the deal with Lacazette? Was he injured?
Do not know, which is why I haven't looked at it, because I just haven't considered Nketiah because of that whole minutes issue. And I know Martinelli's been playing mainly wide, but he has played through the middle in the past as well. So, although we haven't seen that recently, so maybe that's just nothing to consider. But yeah, I'm just not certain he's going to get the both games. And that's it really.
Agree, man. Oh yeah, I need to rethink him. And this whole Chelsea thing's making me rethink everything. So great. Okay, those are both our teams done. Which was a fun little exercise, hopefully giving you some food for thought. Just to quickly touch on some players that neither of us have picked that I think a lot of people might pick and consider and should consider. I'll skip over the ones we've already mentioned, but we haven't mentioned, say, Sadio Mane, who is playing really well. And he has played well all year. Is that just a Salah thing? Too much money?
Yeah, I don't think you can have both Salah and Mane in the team. So if you're going to have one, Salah's better because of the reasons we said. Minutes, returns, underlying stats. And yeah, he's just the main man.
Yeah, agree. I think Mane's more, like you said about the coming off the left thing, he'll be more susceptible to swapping with Jota and Diaz, won't he?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, but God, I do love him. I do love
He's class.
Sadio. Absolutely love him. Madison, James Madison. Did we both captain him the other week? I definitely did. Did you? Was it last week?
With Barnes.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can talk about them both here. We haven't picked either of them. They're doublers and we've fucking ignored them. Why have we ignored them?
Well, I just not minutes for Barnes, kind of minutes for Maddie as well, because he doesn't get that many minutes. And he is, we've said this before, he is streaky.
They both
Mr.
are.
Streaky bacon.
They both are, aren't they? They really are.
Yeah, and for 7 mil, whatever it is for Maddie, if you're going to go on there, maybe just go Dewsbury Hall and just if you want someone from that midfield,
pay a visit to Dewsbury Hall, pay a school trip visit to the Dewsbury Hall. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I think with that Europa Conference nonsense they've got in the back of his mind, I think that's what they're probably more likely. Because they're playing Roma, I think, aren't they, this week? They're probably more likely to get into the Europa League through winning that than they are the Premier League at the moment. So he'll probably save his big boys for those fixtures. If Roma destroy them this week, or they destroyed Roma, then it'll be a different story, perhaps. But yeah, they burnt us last week or the week before, and that's not
fresh
happy.
In the memory. It's too fresh.
It is. Josh, you've written Cornet. He got dropped this week, didn't he? Out of nowhere, I believe.
Son of a bitch.
So, yeah. I mean, what does that mean? Who knows what Burnley's new management are thinking? But it's going well for them, and I don't think you could trust Cornet.
No, I think in terms of stats, he is the biggest threat. I think even more than Weghorst in terms of XG. So we know that he is electric, but the dropping is a concern. But Burnley's fixtures aren't terrible. If you're looking to make that transfer 36 to 37, he's maybe one for that. But he is quite low down the list. Just that's why he's not in either of our teams, isn't it? So
yeah, 100%. And then I'll skip over him for now. Jota we've mentioned. Son, we've kind of touched on Kane and Son. I've got to say I'm tempted by Son. I think even he kind of transcends Spurs' bad form a lot of the time, even though they're in a bit of a rut now and he hasn't done too much. But they do have, I want to say, decent fixtures. They got Leicester next week. Well, no, they got Liverpool and Arsenal, like you said, in the double. So maybe that'll put you off. But yeah, Son. Would you go Son or Kane if you had to go one of them?
Just for FPL asset in isolation, Son. But because there's not a lot of forwards, I think we get drawn towards Kane.
Defo.
And because of the whole penalties things and stuff. But I think Son is a bigger threat.
Yeah.
For goals, for sure. Kane just seems to be more of a playmaker more recently. But what I would say is after the last 2 games is, doubts around either of them. There's a lot of money it feels like they're not getting any doubles because of the 36 fixture difficulty. The Liverpool Arsenal, it feels like they're not getting
at Anfield as well. Yeah.
So it's almost like if you're gonna consider them, just get KDB if you're gonna get single player asset. So
preach,
probably the better one out of those.
Yeah, defo. We mentioned James. I put Watkins on there. Ollie Watkins. We're in a striker dearth. Villa double. Watkins tends to start. I just think he's not good enough. He can't finish well enough, and Villa don't score enough. So he's got 8 goals in all competitions this year. Watkins. He's just not clinical enough at all for me.
Yeah, I mean, you are the Villa expert, the resident Villa expert. Wow. But I think, back me up, would you say that he is the biggest threat for goals, but the threat for goals is not great?
It's not. It's just so mad that I just find it crazy we've got Danny Ings and we just haven't been able to deploy him. He was so good for Saints, Ings, wasn't he? Last year and the year before.
They're taking him. They would.
Yeah, he was great for Burnley, and he was great. He was good for Liverpool when he played. Even
Yeah.
It's very strange that we just haven't been able to get the best of him. Neither Gerrard or Smith has known really how to deploy Watkins and Ings together, and it stunts them both, I think. So very frustrating. But I'd definitely avoid both. Rafinha, Leeds have a double. We love Rafinha earlier this season, but I must say I got rid of him a few weeks ago, and I haven't given him a second thought. Really, did nothing again last night. Is he just candle burnt out a little bit, kind of Antonio style? Do you think?
Nor should you, Jack. Nor should you give him another thought. I think. Yeah, I mean their fixtures are just horrendous, and they're not really giving us enough for you to consider him. They've got City, Arsenal, Chelsea in the next 3, and then Brighton after that. Who aren't?
I mean, they're in trouble, aren't they? They're in trouble with those fixtures there. They could drop into it, I think. If Everton start picking it up, they will. Those fixtures are not good. Not good. But I agree. Avoid all leads, really. I've lost where we are. Right. Yeah. And then the final one really is Richarlison, who leads the XG tables, Josh, out of all players for the last 4, unbelievably, which is pretty mental. But we said Gordon's the only Everton asset we want. Are we ignoring Richie? What are we doing there?
Yeah, maybe he's getting a bad rep. Gordon feels like the shiny new toy, cheap shiny new toy. And Richarlison is one of those that we know he's a good player, and maybe our minds are saying he should be performing better than he has, but he's in a rich vein of form at the moment. Good returns, good underlying stats. Wouldn't begrudge you for picking him. This is coming from a man who's got Dennis in his team at the moment, so I think Richarlison is probably a better pick than him. But money's the price is the issue.
Yeah, he's not cheap, is he? He's not as cheap as he should be. Richarlison.
No.
Back in the day was that I always have a weird bias with players who used to be midfielders in the game that get upgraded to strikers, because I know that shouldn't matter with how I judge them in isolation, but it really does get to me a bit, Same with Saint Maximin. I just remember the days you were a midfielder, and I resent that you only get 4 points instead of 5 now for playing in the same position. But yeah,
soured, isn't it? They've just soured the idea.
It does soured it. It has soured it. But I don't think he's a bad pick, for a mega differential. I don't think he's the worst striker option you can pick. It's just if you can fit him in with the price, like you say.
Yeah, we'll be surprised if he bangs.
Yeah, that's it. And then, I'll just touch on Man City. We have kind of mentioned them a few times. We've both gone for Cancelo. KDB, for me, KDB is so expensive. Having him and Salah in your team does kind of scupper the rest a little bit. But great player.
Yeah. I mean, head-to-head, the fact that Salah, with Liverpool have a double in 36 and City just have singles now, that would put him ahead. Because I think if City doubled and we would be directly comparing, Salah and KDB, obviously you've got the rotation risk with City always, but KDB at the moment, was it 2 goals and 3 assists in the last 4 games? He is KDB. He's right up there, isn't he? But he's off the table because of that rotation risk, the price, and the fact they don't double.
Yeah.
And everyone else is just the same rotation risk, isn't it? They're good. They'll be great, but no doubles.
Yeah. I want Mahrez. I just bloody love Mahrez. But it's just, if you pick him for a double bench boost and he doesn't play, you're absolutely devastated, aren't you? Yeah. It's not like you can get someone coming off the bench for him because you're playing your bench already. Cool. Okay. Wow, Josh. Well, that took a while, didn't it? That took a while. I don't think we really, our plans, maybe we should just touch on who we'd captain for game week 35, because we're going to wildcard, aren't we, both of us? 35, though, it's this kind of lost child of a game week. It's before the big double. Who are you thinking of captaining from your wildcard team?
Liverpool have got Newcastle, Chelsea have got Everton. So those are the 2 that I'd probably be looking at with all the assets that I pick. So it's either, Mount against Everton or Salah against Newcastle. Probably Salah.
Salah, yeah. I think Newcastle are no mugs these days. They've won 10 of their last 14 games, which is wild.
Yeah, they're really not, and I think Everton showed that they're decent when they want to be.
Yeah.
But I just feel like Liverpool playing really well at the moment, and Salah has shown better form in the last kind of 2 games compared to the 4 prior.
Yeah. He has. Yeah, United he demolished, didn't he? And it was a beautiful assist against Everton.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
like you,
Jack.
What are you thinking?
I'm tempted. Salah's always a temptation, but I have been going slightly against the grain with captains lately, and it has been doing all right for me. So I might go Harry Kane. I know it's wild because they've been terrible the last 2, but if Kane ends up in my wildcard team, they've got Leicester at home. I just think, is that the time they can turn it on with Leicester fatigue from Roma on Thursday? I just have a feeling Spurs might turn it on there, but don't know yet. Probably it'll be Kane, or if I get Son, or it'll be Salah in the wildcard team. Yeah. Basically, I'm not. For some reason, Chelsea aren't tempting me this week. Maybe they should be, but they're not. Good. I can't be bothered to go through the XG and the differential wildcard teams I've picked. So I put it on Twitter. I put them both on Twitter at FPL Tools, and I've put the XG one on TikTok as well. So if you care about that, just go and have a look at it. Go and have a look there. Check our other channels for that. But I think that about wraps it up, Josh, unless you've got anything else I've missed or you want to add.
No, I think it shows, there is no set template. So just have fun, play around a bit with a bit, and just we're close to the season. So if you do something crazy, just enjoy it.
Who cares? No one remembers it afterwards, do they? Let's be honest. No one cares. Only you remember it. Yeah, why not? Josh Watford, triple up on Watford. Do it. Go and watch Watford play. Good. All right. Well, thank you, Josh. And thanks for listening. Listener, check us out. Like, subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Twitter, TikTok. We're here for you. FPL content all the time. Good. Josh.
Thanks, Jack. Good luck. Good luck with your wildcard.
Thanks a lot. You too, man. See you soon. Bye-bye.
See ya.